Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today I want to talk about some things that I think the game needs to add, and these aren't really any big, sweeping changes. They're more quality of life improvements, and just some things that I think a game in this day and age should really have. And you're going to see, obviously, I got a lot of this from some other military vehicle based tier grind your life away games, which this game should really have. So, again, this is all my opinion, and feel free to add your own comments down below and if you agree or disagree with me about some of these. But again, none of these are really game changing or anything. But I think if they add these features in, it would certainly improve the quality of the game. So, anyway, let's get going. And again, these are really in no specific order, and again, not really a top 5 or top 10 list or whatever. Just some discussion I would like to have with you guys. So, first up, I think that they should look at adding in a way where you can use your ship again right after you leave the game. Now, I say this because if you look at the game, it's not hard to die really fast in this game. You can make one mistake and that can cost you your ship quite easily, especially if you're playing something like a destroyer or a cruiser. And even with the level of HE spam today and Russian battleships, most normal battleships can get taken out pretty fast too. And it's always annoying when you just slip up like that, and let's say you're playing your favorite ship and boom, you're out of the ship for a solid 20 minutes. And I understand that this is to kind of, encourage you to grind other lines, but I mean, really, most of the people who play this game are adults and understand that you should probably be grinding multiple lines at the same time. But if you really like a ship, I think they should really just let you get right back into the game. War Thunder lets you do that, and it's a really nice feature, I'm not going to lie, because in a game like War Thunder, you can really easily get taken out in one shot, which happens a lot, especially for someone who's grinded up a bit through War Thunder. I mean, the amount of grind I put into War Thunder is like nothing compared to some people, but it was refreshing to know that, hey, if I screw up, I can get right back into the match, and I certainly think this should be an addition into World of Warships and a World of Tanks, because I do believe World of Tanks makes you wait too. I haven't really played that much World of Tanks at all. But I mean, it would just cut down on some of that frustration, because if you do slip up, you are just stuck. Either if you want your ship to come back, you're just stuck staring at the match for the next 20 minutes, or you go and play another ship. Which again, I understand that's supposed to encourage you to do that, but I would certainly like to be able to just hop right back into battle. It would cut back on a lot of the frustration, in my opinion. And if you don't want people doing it all the time, you could charge a certain amount of credits for it. I wouldn't charge the blooms for it, because then that's getting into the, that's a little much. But, maybe like 250,000 credits to instantly repair your ship, whatever the repair fee is. You just pay it right then and then get your ship back using credits. I think that would certainly help people, because, I mean, not everyone's grinding lines all the time. Like right now, I'm not really grinding anything. I may be playing the Russian cruiser lines just kind of on and off, but I'm not grinding anything. And if I slip up in like my Bismarck, it would be nice just to get my Bismarck right back right away. But anyway, again, that's just my opinion. And that, honestly, this is probably the most game-changing one out of all of this. All right, so going on, I would say this game, I said this about a year ago, and I think it's really starting to show now, is that this game does need a bit of a graphics overhaul. Now, the game still looks good, do not get me wrong, but it is really starting to show its age now. If you haven't noticed, a lot of the effects on the game, they don't render if you're not looking at them. And they're not very fast to render when you look back at them. Let's say you're looking at a ship and smoke's coming out of its smokestack. You look away, the smoke stops rendering. You look back, oh, it's there again. And, I mean, I understand that a lot of games use this concept, but it's really noticeable in World of Warships. Also, the water effects, I mean, they look good and all, but they're starting to show their age. And a lot of the older ships, too, their models are just really, really below average, in my opinion. Like, go look at the Montana, and then go look at something like the Kremlin, just the difference in detail there is. in those ships. And I understand, it's not really cost effective to go back and remodel one old ship that's been in here since the game started, but just like a generic overhaul would be nice. And a lot of the islands too. And you don't really look at the islands when you're playing the game, but if you do, boy, there's some 2D trees on there that they look like they belong in a PS2 game. It's really quite bad if you ever sit down and look at it. And I mean, it's not like, I don't think the game needs a new engine, because like I said, a lot of the new stuff looks really good. It's just that, I don't know, I guess they were trying to push the old stuff out. And again, the new maps look pretty dang good, but still there's some things that they don't look all that great. And a nice overhaul would be a welcome change. And I get it, the appeal of Warships is that, it's not this big demanding game. But, to bring it up to, say, Water Tank standards today, because Water Tanks looks really good after they gave it an overhaul. And I know, because I said this a while ago, and a lot of people's arguments was, well, my potato PC won't be able to run it then. Yeah, but I'm not talking about bringing it to such a level where you need a god-tier PC to run it. Just something to where, it looks a bit better, because this game is, I think it's approaching, it just turned 4. So yeah, it's 4 years old now, and again, don't get me wrong, it still looks good, but it's going to start to really show its age here in another year or so. So I think that's something they really need to look into. Alright, so 3 is a simple request. 3, I'm next in the list. I think I have like 6 in this list. 3 is, there needs to be more historical ships in this game. They are just throwing in paper ship after paper ship after paper ship. And I get, like the higher tiers of some of the lines, that's necessary. But, I mean, when you've got these ships being introduced that never existed, when there's still ships that, they have plenty of history behind them, they're fairly unique, they can be added into the game, and they just aren't here yet, like the Royal Navy battle cruisers. And I get, we have the Royal Navy cruiser, destroyer, and battleship and carrier line out now. And that line's kind of fleshed out, and they still want to get in some more lines, like the Italian cruisers that have been long overdue. They're finally arriving pretty soon. And I get that, but again, when you have ships that just didn't exist being slung in, even some premium ships that didn't exist, when you still have ships that did fully exist, it is kind of frustrating, especially for the collectors out there. And that would just be a really nice, addition, more and more historical ships, because I'm pretty sure we all agree that historical ships are very cool, that we get to interact with, like ships like the Arizona, the Iowas, the King Georges, the Bismarck, Tirpitz, ships like those that have history behind them and were really made. It's really cool, especially like the Alabama. That's a museum ship that I get to go to quite often, and it's really cool to see it in-game, play it in-game, then go see the ship in real life. That's just an awesome experience. Alright, so the next thing I would say would also be maps. And I know they've done a pretty good job of giving us some new maps, and this was a interesting thing that was pointed out when I went to Anchors Away at the Alabama, is that there's like 40-something maps in the game. They're just spread out over so many tiers that it doesn't really seem like there's that many maps in the game. And they are true, because the scale has to be different for each map, because if you put a GK on like a tier 2 map, for one thing, it's going to be like, I don't know, like a 12th of the space in the map, and plus it'll be able to fire well all over the map. You can try it in the training room. It's actually quite hilarious to see. And I get that, but they do need to look into adding some more ships, some more maps. I mean, they've been cranking out ship after ship after ship after ship, which, in my opinion, it can't take that much longer to develop a map than a ship. And now, I get maps, you have to take a lot into consideration, but ships, I mean, good lord, it took, almost a year for us to get the the Alaska out? So some new maps, more maps would be certainly appreciated. And the thing is, too, these new maps can take this new meta into consideration, so you can add in a lot of mountain ranges and stuff to cut back on the amount of HE spamming, where on these older maps, ships like the Smolensk and the Colbert didn't exist when they were designed. And thankfully they do update these maps from time to time. They've done a good job with that too. But some new, fresh maps would be appreciated. Can't wait for Ocean 2, Electric Water. So last thing I want to talk about is the ability to make custom camouflages. So I can see this working one of two ways. It's either you buy the camouflage like a premium camo, or you just have premium and it's a feature of premium where you can go into each ship and make your own custom camouflage. Now, if it's just a feature of premium, I would say, it doesn't have to give you any type of boost, but maybe it's like something you can add on top of a premium camo, to where, let's say if I have the Yammy's premium camo, but I equip a custom camouflage, it can be like another slot in the exterior option, to where I still get the boosters from the Yammy's camo, but it looks like my custom camouflage. So let's say I want to make my Yammy, I don't know, I want the front half of it to have the type of premium camo design that Yammy has, and the back half of it I want it to be a solid color. I'm just spitballing. I can make that happen with a custom camouflage. It could let you either paint your ship a certain type of camo, or maybe let you select from like a roster of camo templates and then just mess with the colors a little bit. Just something to where we can make our ships a bit more ours and not, kind of uniform. Which I get, the idea was World War II, ships are supposed to look uniformed, but again, it's a multiplayer game. We already have ships sailing around with orange and green and white and all these crazy camos. I don't see why they just wouldn't let people design their own. It would be a nice incentive to buy premium, or you could just let it be a thing by itself, where you can maybe, if you really want to, pay, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 doubloons for a custom camouflage, and you can make it a premium camo that way. I think it'd be a nice idea for gaming, so you should look into that. So anyway, guys, those are just some things that I think need to be added to the game just to improve its quality of life and maybe add some longevity to the game. And again, I was just really spitballing for all of these. I just thought it would be an interesting topic to discuss. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and what other type of quality of life or improvement they need to add to the game. And I hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday. It's a very chilly day down here, and hopefully we don't get frozen over. But anyway, guys, have a wonderful day. And if you do like the video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We're on our way to 6,000 subscribers. We just crossed the halfway mark there. We're about 400 subscribers away from our goal. Cannot thank you guys enough for that. Alright, now have a nice day. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.